So the HITC Sport Fantasy League is going well. I'm all the way down in 384th after a horrific start of the game that saw me have to play my wildcard after about 3 weeks. But things are on the up, although I'm nowhere near league leader Fabian Garcia, who's got a whopping 805 points. Cheers to everyone for getting involved. The league has around 1200 people in it, which is pretty cool. Really, I should have charged a £1 entry fee, then I could pay for me holiday next year. But before it all kicked off, we listed 9 players you should avoid this season in fantasy football, and today we're going to look at how they're all getting on. Number 1, Riyad Mahrez. So we start off with one that we've kind of got wrong. The thinking behind picking Mahrez was that for all his talent, he isn't going to be a guaranteed starter at City, especially when they had the likes of Raheem Sterling, Leroy Sané and Bernardo Silva playing in similar positions. An expensive option, the theory was that the money he invested in Mahrez could be put elsewhere, but the Algerians actually chipped in with his fair share of points, winning 41 in the official Premier League game at the time of recording. Despite a decent points return, Mahrez isn't that popular in fantasy football, with only 3.7% of players picking the tricky winger. But so far he's scored 4 league goals, with the only blemish on his record being that missed penalty at Anfield. However, considering he still costs 8.7 million, I'm still going to give him a miss. Number 2, Leighton Baines. Now this one we got absolutely spot on. Our reasoning for avoiding Leighton Baines was that with Lucas Digne snapped up from Barcelona, there would be no place for the mod father of football. Baines had been a mainstay at Everton for years now, but is being phased out of the team as he enters the twilight years of his career. The reason he was such a popular fantasy football pick was because not only is he a defender that can pick up clean sheets, but he's also a set piece master and a penalty expert. However, he's not had the chance to convert any this season, picking up just 5 points so far. In comparison, his replacement Digne has 26 points, which still isn't that many, but it's a lot more than Baines has got. Number 3, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. This was an obvious pick at the time, as Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain was struck down by injury, so if anything it was a bit of a cop-out by myself, but whatever, the bloke still has 0 points. The Ox was great last season for the Reds, and Klopp's men are doing brilliantly without him, and have added to their midfield with the arrival of Navigator and Fabinho. If you've still got the Ox in your team and have no idea why you would, for the love of God get rid of him. Get well soon, Alex. Number 4, Eric Dyer. The reason Eric Dyer is a bad choice for fantasy football is that he's no longer listed as a defender. When he first rocked up you could put him in the back 4, raking the points as he got clean sheets and goals, but now he's a certified midfielder and one that doesn't score many. So far this season he's scored just once, grabbing the winner against Cardiff, but that's the only time he's been a significant points winner, so far totaling 26 for the season, which is nothing to get excited about. To be fair, he's quite cheap now, available for 4.8 million, and there aren't many better midfielders for that price, but unless you need a bargain, I still wouldn't be rushing to have Eric Dyer in my team. Number 5, Thibaut Courtois. I mean, we've played a blinder here, this was the easiest pick. At the time of the last video, Courtois was still Chelsea's main goalkeeper, but not long after it went up, the Belgian was on the move, getting his dream move to Real Madrid and escaping the world of Premier League fantasy football. So therefore, Courtois would have got you 0 points on account of not being in the actual division, and things are hardly going well for him in Madrid either, with the Champions League holders struggling having just sacked their manager Julen Lopetegui. As for Courtois' replacement Kepa, he's one of the top goalkeepers on the game, picking up 45 points so far, which makes him the 6th best stopper in Premier League fantasy football. However, only 5.5% of players have selected the Spaniard. But then again, 3 of the goalkeepers with more points than Kepa are in fact cheaper as well, so why would you have Kepa? Number 6, Abdoulaye Doucouré. Okay, here's one I think I got very wrong. Abdoulaye Doucouré performed brilliantly last season for Watford, scoring an impressive 7 goals along the way. Despite a great season, I didn't think Doucouré would have the same impact, and especially wouldn't be as prolific in front of goal. While he's yet to find the net this season, Doucouré has racked up a fairly impressive 39 points, having played in every single minute for Watford so far this season, and providing 4 assists as well. Available for 5.9 million, Doucouré is still a reasonably priced midfielder, and it turns out he can still get you some points this season, despite not getting on the score sheet. So I think it's fair to say I misjudged the Frenchman this time out. Number 7, Tammy Abraham. He's another player that we've looked out on. At the time of recording the last video, it was unclear what the future held for Tammy Abraham. He was still at Chelsea and fighting for a place in the team, but he had been linked with a loan move to another Premier League club. However, after a disappointing season for Swansea last time out, Abraham ended the transfer window back in the Championship. He's lining up for Aston Villa in the Championship, where he won't be picking up any fantasy points. Unless you played Championship fantasy football, of course, but I'm not sure if that still exists. It definitely used to years ago. I remember playing it for some sad reason. Number 8, Danny Rose. A second Tottenham Hotspur player we thought you should avoid, Danny Rose has slightly more points than Eric Dyer, winning 28 to Dyer's 26. We thought Rose wouldn't be a great pick for fantasy football due to his competition with Ben Davies, with the Welshman having become first choice at Spurs. While Davies has played more minutes than Rose, he's won fewer points. Davies has played 548 minutes of Premier League football and won just 15 points, having recorded just 1 clean sheet. In comparison, Danny Rose has won 3 clean sheets and provided 2 assists in 439 minutes of action. However, while Rose has won more points than expected, there are still better defensive options out there, and cheaper ones as well. And finally, number 9, Anthony Martial. Now this one we got seriously wrong, like really wrong. So wrong I've gone back on my word and included Martial in my draft team for a different league. At the time of our last fantasy football video, Martial was being criticised by Mourinho and looked like his future at Old Trafford was bleak, especially with the likes of Alexis Sanchez ahead of him in the pecking order. But in the past few weeks, Martial has shown what he's all about and can't stop scoring. The ice cool French forward has won 51 fantasy points thanks to 5 goals and 1 assist. So it turns out that Martial is someone that you should have in your fantasy team, and I can only apologise to Tony. Please keep scoring, Tony, I need the points. Why am I calling you Tony, you're not my mate? So that's how the 9 players we said you should avoid in fantasy football are doing so far. Let us know what you reckon in the comments. Thanks for watching and don't forget to like, share and subscribe.